All right, what's up? We're live, episode 105, the Unplugged Alpha. It's been brought to my attention the other day that Russel Brand has been metoo'd. So, talking a little bit about that, some remedies to it, how to avoid it, how to manage it, why it's happening, all that good stuff. Thanks for joining me live tonight, guys. I really do appreciate it. As you can, please hit the like button for the algorithms, as I always ask you to do. And we'll be on at 8:45 later on with a new panel for Ladies Night. Some interesting discussion points and topics we'll be diving into there. So let's get started here. First things first, a little housekeeping. Do me solid if you guys are just getting here on other parts of the internet. Join us on YouTube here. This is the link I'm putting in all chat. And for the call-in segment, I might as well get this link out of the way because almost everybody comes in at the last minute and they're like, yo, I want to talk to you, but the show is over. So I'm going to give you the join link right now. It's first come, first serve, obviously. So get in now. I need to wrap for like 25, 35 minutes on this topic, and then we'll go to the Q&A segment. So come in and ask any question. If you guys are watching this somewhere else, the Twitters, the Twatches, the Facebooks, the Metas, the Kuckerbergs, wherever they happen to be, come on over and watch on YouTube and help me out here with the algos. And it's also the only place where I pin the join link for the show. So it's pinned at the top. It says come in and ask a question. I get loads and loads of questions from guys, DMs, emails. This is my problem. What would you do? Can you answer me? Give me a call. Here's my text. I don't have time for that. That's why I run a call-in segment on this podcast. It's always open, totally free. Okay. So if you have anything that's on your mind, just call in. Let's chop it up. The link is always in the live chat. And again, it's first come, first serve. So hop in and we'll get into some Q&A in a little bit. Hopefully some of you guys that messaged me during the week that I replied back and said, do it on the show, will come in. That's how I roll. All right. So let's deal with the recap first. So what's going on here? Russel Brand, stand-up comedian, British actor. I liked him in Get Him to the Greek. Thought he did a great job. Allegedly, there's outlets that are now saying that there are allegations of sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct it's wrong. Don't do it. Obviously, you know, one of the things I can say, like, how do you avoid this? Well, clearly don't do it. But we've also seen it abused. We've seen over the last few years with the introduction of the Me Too movement, it being used for nefarious reasons. Because again, women are the protected sex and men are the disposable one. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. It's why when the Titanic goes down, it's women and children first. And guys, you figured out if you can survive, good. If not, oh well, there's more of you, waiting in line. It's always been that way. So this movement, it's relatively new. I'll be honest. I'm going to say in the last decade, although it hasn't. I mean, it's probably existed to some degree in the past. I'm thinking back to my 20s and stuff like that, and there was the odd friend of mine that would be accused of doing something that that they didn't do. Only back then there was no social media, there's no internet, there's no self-reporting. There's anybody can turn on a camera and talk today. This is basically what I'm doing. We all press the same upload button. So we live in a world today where you can say kind of anything you want, wherever you want on the interwebs. And Russel Brand went from a big-time celebrity doing big-name films. I think he was married to Katy Perry for a bit. He's admitted to having a fairly promiscuous past, openly. And I mean, what celebrity hasn't, right? I mean, if you're A-list athlete, artist, I'm talking about, singers, actors, stuff like that, business tycoons, entrepreneurs, you generally have a lot of women throwing a ton of attention at you. I think it's kind of understood at this point. I shouldn't have to explain that. So you want to indulge. I mean, it's what happens. Rock stars have been doing it forever. It's only now that, recently, the last few decades, it's been expanded to other areas. But anyway, so Brand, as a icon of that space, managed to have some fun, and a number of years go by. And the thing that like irks me, that's like weird from the perspective weird. And again, we don't know what's happened here, so I'm trying to have a bit of a balanced conversation. But the thing that has always irked me is, it's like, if somebody, I don't know, broke into my house 10 years ago and stole my stuff, why would I report it 10 years later? Like, if it happened at the time, you deal with it at the time. So one must question or ask, like, I'm surprised. I'm not even surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there was something that came up, and I'm making comedy of this, so please bear with me. Something that came up where Eve accused Adam of wrongdoings or something like this, because there is no statute of limitations, it seems, with these Me Too's. Generally speaking, in most legal jurisdictions, there's a limitation period. Like, for example, if you don't pay your credit card after 2 years in Ontario, they can't legally sue you if you defend it on the basis of the limitation period expiring. Not legal advice, do your own research, but limitation periods exist to remove frivolous lawsuits from the court system from clogging it up. It's like, basically, what the lawmakers are saying is like, look, if this is such an issue, then deal with it when it's such an issue, and don't wait till 10 years later with your such an issue. But it seems like when it comes to stuff like a Me Too, that there's no limitation period. We've seen it over the last few years on a number, anywhere from politicians, presidents, artists, actors, like, you go right down the list. So that's the first thing that, like, just sits kind of weird. It's like, look, man, again, somebody were to steal my motorcycle when I was in my 20s, I would have dealt with it at the time. I wouldn't be like, oh, I feel like now 20, 30 years later that I want to, file a report to the police department because somebody stole my motorcycle and I'd like to get it. Like, there's got to be a line in the sand that has to be drawn. And it's like, if you're going to deal with these things, deal with these things. If you're not going to deal with it and you're going to let it go, let it go. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's absolutely wrong. As a father, I don't condone it. And I think it's atrocious behavior. But there's some weird shit going on here, right? Let's be honest. So the Me Too movement. It'd be interesting to see who started this. I did some Googling on how to avoid it, what potential remedies were. And there's a lot of bullshit out there. It always comes up because I want to see, like, what are people talking about? And then invariably it's some pickup artist, smart ass girl that's got some, like, how to not be a creepy guy, course or something like that at the end of it. She says, don't be a creep. And it's not like creeps aren't getting accused of Me Too movements openly, publicly, and in a slanderous sort of fashion. It's public figures. Okay. And I don't believe that that they should be allowed to wait a prolonged period of time. I don't believe that, and what I believe doesn't really matter for the legal case, but I don't believe that a guy that is as popular as a Russel Brand would do what he's being accused of. It seems highly unlikely, in my opinion. It is like, I don't know, a buddy of mine that owns a bunch of supercars going to the Kia dealership and stealing a Kia, right? It just doesn't look, it wouldn't make sense. If somebody said to me, my buddy, with his car collection, decided to go steal a car and it ended up in one of our chat groups or something, I'd be like, yeah, that doesn't add up. Like, is this a joke? Like, like, what's the punchline, sort of thing? So for him, during his height of fame, when he admitted being as promiscuous as he was, had or would have done the things that they're accusing him of doing, seems odd. Which brings me to the next thing, which is like, okay, well, why are they doing this? This playlist, this podcast itself is called The Unplugged Alpha. It's based on my book. If you're newer to the channel, you should get the book and read it so you understand sort of, like, the fundamental basics here of what we're talking about. But when it comes to unplugging, you have to get good at seeing through your own bullshit, and you have to get good at seeing through others' bullshit. These are the two steps in unplugging: seeing others' bullshit and seeing your own bullshit. We tell ourselves lies every day, right? And other people tell us lies every day too that aren't true. So Rusty Rockets, or whatever his name is, Russel Brand, over the last few years during the scamdemic, the World Economic Forum stuff, the stuff where he's been talking around agendas about how and why he thinks they're trying to lower the population, control energy, remove your stuff. They use narratives like, in a certain period of time, you'll own nothing to be happy. And I've heard this sold before where it's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about a garage and having a car and changing the oil and the brake pads and the tires in summers and winters. There'll just be a car available to you, and you just play like a flat fee, and you use it when you need to use it, and when you're not using it, other people use it. And it seems like it works, right? So he kind of goes down these rabbit holes of why that doesn't work, why they're doing it. Some might say he's wearing a tinfoil hat. Others might say he's right wing, whatever. Like, the fact remains is he's very popular. His YouTube channel has millions and millions of follows. He's very popular on social media. He's commonly asked to provide commentary on television shows, the news. He's very charismatic, right? Like, he's got a great personality for that sort of stuff. So you could understand why. I don't know how tall he is. He's pretty, like, I call him a giant. He's probably about 6'3", 6'4". He looks big. Why tall, charismatic, reasonably good-looking guy, especially in his prime, would have done well with the ladies, right? Like, I'm sure he racked up quite the notch count. So with that being said, I'm asking myself again, well, why are they doing this, and why are they doing this now? And is it because he did it, or is it because they're trying to silence him? And I've always said on my channel, the bomber always gets flack when it's over the target. So, when I say something on social media or in a video or on Twitter, and then like the blue-haired alphabet harpies come and try to attack me, it's because I'm right generally. They don't have a counter argument. They don't have a better solution to a problem that I've addressed. It's just point and sputter, sort of thing. So it's like bombers only get flack when they're over the target. So it brings me to, is this AA guns throwing flack at him because he's over the target? And I think on a balance of probabilities, based on what I've looked at, that seems more likely than him doing what they've accused him of doing, before. I'm sure this is going to be damaging to his character, to business connections that he's got, contracts, sponsors, whatever it happens to be. I wouldn't be surprised if they're dropping him or starting to drop him right now, even though he hasn't been convicted and tried and proved guilty. It's just the accusation itself. Like, this is how powerful the accusation is. The accusation of wrongfully doing something nefarious to a woman on a sexual basis is so powerful, they will cancel you completely. So it seems like, on a balance of probabilities, this is more what it looks like it is. In the chat here on YouTube, I'm going to run a quick poll, and I'm going to ask you guys what you think it is. Did Brand do what they are accusing him? Yes, no answer. Poll is started for the guys in the live chat. You guys tell me what you think based on what you've seen or heard. It's unfortunate because, when you cry wolf and there's no wolf there, we all know the nursery rhyme or the children's story, whatever it happens to be. But if you keep crying wolf and there's no wolf there, you're not going to believe the cry when it comes and it's real, which would be unfortunate for a woman dealing with an actual issue. So, like, this is the era that we live in. It's a very, very powerful tool, for all those reasons that I've explained. Anyway, so let me talk about why so far it's 95% of you are saying no. You don't think he's done what he's done. Okay. We'll see how that racks up in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Go cast your vote now. If you guys are watching somewhere else, head on over to YouTube and do the thing there. So I've compiled a list of some things that I think will at least insulate or protect you to some degree from a potential accusation of a Me Too coming at you in your future. The first very obvious one is obviously don't do it, right? Don't be a degenerate piece of shit. The other ones are more, for those that could be facing it and interact. I mean, look, half the population is women. I know that a lot of people have this potential solution where just don't deal with women. Just go your own way and stay on your side of the fence. And I don't think that's entirely practical, given the structure of how we operate with men and women and why we're here and all sort of stuff. So one of the first things is, of course, not getting yourself in a position where you can be compromised. Like, look, man, it's guys like Russel Brand, even Andrew Tate. Like Tate had to go to full damage control motion because he knows he's been on a whole bunch of shows and podcasts prior to when they made the accusation, saying bombastic and outlandish things because it works, right? Like it gets eyeballs, it's red meat. People will click on you. It's more shareable. Oh, look what this guy said, and they forward it to somebody else so that it gets in front of somebody else. So it works from that perspective. And then he had to go and get all of these gals to provide video statements, testimony. I mean, there's got to be a whole team, running all of that stuff. It's got to be a lot of work. And when you go out there and you want to confront the Klaus Schwabs of the world or the Matrixes or the Pfizers, all that stuff. Like, there's a reason why I'm not running a show called InfoWars or anything like that. Like, I have interesting conversations privately with people that are on my inner circle that I've drawn a perimeter around, that I'm close with, in all of these regards, right? You go out and you cast on a regular basis, you put a target on yourself. So being invisible. So the first tip I have is be more invisible to the damn matrix, if that's the word that we're going to use. There's no reason to paint a target on your back. Now, if you go and paint a target on your back, fine, but be anti-fragile. There's very, very few people out there that can go up against the matrix, we'll call it, and be entirely anti-fragile. On the balance of probabilities, especially most of the people that I've seen so far, because of the lifestyles that they've led and how they've made their money. And it's like, oh, they've got so much money and they've got these cars and the jets and the boats and the hypercars and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, yeah, all of those things exist, but what was the cost building up to that? Like, what did you do? How did you earn the money? Was there anything nefarious? Was there anything underhanded? Did it, to compromise anybody, to hurt anybody? Depending on how they're going to assess the situation, they're always going to take a look at your past. They're always going to take a look at how you've earned money, who you've interacted with, who you've hung out with, what you've done with your time, how you hold yourself out to the public, what your reputation looks like. They're going to look at these things and be like, this guy looks like a good target. We don't like what he's saying. Let's get some accusers who will, by the way, always remain anonymous or want to protect their identity, right? You can't, it's not revealed until the court documents are actually presented, obviously. So staying under the radar is not a bad thing. Let's just say that. The next point I have after that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got a few more. Next point I have after that is be in a long-term relationship. They can't accuse you, or it's going to be very, very difficult for them to accuse you of nefarious activity if you're with somebody, especially if you're with somebody that can corroborate a lot of the stuff, right? You live with somebody, you're dating them, you're in a long-term relationship. I mean, I guess maybe there's a slight advantage to living with somebody to avoid a Me Too, even though I'm not a big fan of living with a gal or getting married. Obviously, I don't think that getting married or living with a girl is an appropriate remedy to avoiding a Me Too. But being in an LTR, it's like, oh, he touched me or did that. It's like, well, that's interesting because I'm always with her, or her story can corroborate, your activities together, sort of thing. But I think the chances of you getting Me Too in a modern time, long is the key word here, right? If you're promiscuous and, racking up notches big time, The chances of you being accused of this and it's sticking, or being accused of this and people looking at you going, there's a chance, like, Russell Brand, there's a chance because of his promiscuous past that he may have done something. Is it likely? I don't think so. It's pretty unlikely. Again, it's like a guy with a supercar collection of 50 cars going and stealing a Kia. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. This guy was spoiled for choice. He had women throwing themselves at him. I don't talk about it very often, but because of my private coaching rate, when I'm dealing with people on an ongoing basis on a long term, I've dealt with athletes, I've dealt with some actors, I've dealt with some politicians. The problems that they have in their lives and dealing with women, female nature, and the stuff that pops up is very, very different from, like the general public, right? High level people, weapons in the world, guys that are putting very significant dents in the universe, um, they have a different set of problems. But anyway, I'll keep going. Keeping records. We're always tempted, and I've done this when I'm dating, right? We're always tempted. It's like, da 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 da. She says something that annoys you, or she's being a brat, or she turns flaky, or whatever, and you're like, "Fuck this bitch," and you go and delete it all, right? You've lost all the text exchange, any photographs, I had an awesome time with you last night. Can't wait to see you again. Like all of that's gone, poof, right? Or if they're crazy in the head, like there's clear evidence in the messaging back and forth that she's a nutter, and you're just like, delete this bitch or block her or something like that. Then all of a sudden you've lost it all. So I think in this day and age, if you're dating and you're dealing with women and multiple women, obviously, it's prudent to keep records. Just saying, and never throw them away. So back them up, keep them somewhere. So if in 20 years' time something comes up, as absurd as that sounds, it's entirely possible the way things are going right now. Again, we're not seeing a limitation period on this. It's believe all women in any circumstance, anytime, regardless of the duration of time that passed. It doesn't matter, right? So keeping records is definitely going to be useful. I think messaging, and especially anything where she's either crazy or expressing that she's a bit of a nutter, or it's, again, had such a great time, you're such a gentleman, thank you for taking me out, can't wait to see you again, stuff like that, obviously. I'm going to skip over this next one because I don't think creeps are particularly relevant to the people that watch my stuff. I mean, bottom line, don't be creepy. Like, creepy guys will there's that meme from like Barbara and HR. There's two photographs. There's like the creepy, weird looking guy, and he's like, "Hey Barb, you're looking good today." And she's like, "Hello HR, Bill is bothering me again." And then the next one is like Chad Thundercock, the tall, strapping dude with the square jaw, muscle bound, wide shoulders, narrow waist, like the cartoon character of him. And she's like, "Hey Barb, looking good." And she's like, "Gee, thanks." Right? Like, women, when women are attracted to a guy, strongly attracted to a guy, have genuine burning desires, I discussed in chapter 3 of my book, which, again, if you haven't read. When women have a strong pull to a guy, it's very obvious, and it's a very secure place to be, if we're being honest. If you get creepy on her, if you're chasing her, if you're getting simpy on her, this is where you're going to run into problems. But again, I mean, look, if you guys are plugged in and paying attention to what I'm talking about, you're not creeps. So let's just move on from there. I don't need to spend too much time on it. Here's an interesting one that I made a note on, is avoiding doing things alone with women. I had a buddy of mine that I was in a business forum with for a while, and because he saw a friend get Me Too'd, he made it a policy that if he had to meet with any females in his line of work, he always had a third party there, whether it was somebody that worked with him or somebody that worked with them. He never put himself in a position where he was ever going to be left alone, for any reason whatsoever, with another woman. So whether it was a dinner, like if there was a dinner invitation, he would say, "No problem, but I have to bring my assistant to take notes." Or if there was, like a private event, there was always going to be other people there. And if there wasn't there, then he would have to reschedule. And I think, I mean, it's difficult, man, because it's like you'd like to kind of go through life thinking that you can just do it and not have to worry about some psychopath trying to ruin you like 10 years later. And you got to keep fucking notes and not delete stuff and have a third party there. But it makes sense, right? Like it makes sense, especially if you're a guy that's like married or you're in a like monogamous type of relationship. If you're ever going to get accused of cheating or some shit like that, you've got a third party. It's like, yeah, what are you talking about, right? So not putting yourself in an environment where you can be accused of it is probably a smart thing to do as well. Take it for what you want. Ties into space and distance. And I think the last note before we start taking some of these call-ins here, and I will get to the call-ins, we get lots of time for these tonight, is managing your reputation, right? Um, you ask anybody that's known me for a long time, you'll get a very accurate description of who I am, the kind of man that I am, how I lead my life, how I treat people, all that stuff. You'll get a very clear, concise, and consistent message on my reputation. What your reputation is outside of that, like there's some weirdos out on the internet. Just being honest with you, like people are all like, "Well, Rich, why don't you, ask me a question on a podcast about like what's your age or something like that?" I'll just be like, my answer to that is I'm a product of the 70s. I'm a kid of the 70s sort of thing. Why do you want to tell us your age? Well, I worked in credit facilities and credit card collections and stuff like that. And I understand very well how data is collected, how they collect data, how you can reverse data, you can do reverse lookups and things like that. So I think it's prudent to not give out information that isn't relevant to discussion. Saying that I'm a product of the 70s is more than sufficient in my opinion. But beyond the opinions of that, people are going to make up shit. Oh, he's not going to tell you because he's older than he says he is. He's younger. He's on this fucking hormone or like they've got more stories than Walt Disney. It's funny because I stopped reading the comments a long time ago, but when I was looking at them, like you'd read some just weird shit, like you think you know me, bro, or some woman would say something. It's like, yeah, okay, this guy's an incel. Yeah, okay. So managing your reputation within the people that you're in contact with and with your circle really, really matters. Be polite, be a gentleman, be a man of your word, be impeccable, with your word. When you're talking business, when you're talking anything, related to your reputation, do what you say you're going to do. It's simple. Do what you say you're going to do, right? Like be a man. And you're like, it seems so easy and simple to say, but there's a lot of real pieces of shit out there these days that will do anything to take money from you, right? Or to take away from your reputation or anything that you've built for yourself. A lot of the times it's because of envy and jealousy, and they just do these things because it's like it's easier and more fun for them than doing the work, right? So managing your reputation as far as you can control it is a wonderful approach to life in general. I don't think that you should do this just to avoid being me too, but I think that managing your reputation is incredibly important as far as a life hack, as a guy. Let people on the outside say whatever they want about you. Like these dipshits will go and make up all kinds of stories about me and they'll make videos and they'll say stuff. And every time I ever looked at one in the past, it's all fucking made up shit. Like 99% of it is just bullshit. And the 1% that's not, it's exaggerated truths. Manage your reputation that you can control. That's the important aspect of this. Very important to do that. Anyway, let me grab my headphones and throw up the table. We'll get to some Q&A in a second. If you guys want to call in and ask a question, any question, whether it's related to tonight's show, or one of the things that I constantly have to invite people to do is, if you disagree with something that I've said or a remedy to a potential problem that I've tried to address on this podcast or in my book, and you have a critique of it, bring it. Let's hear what your criticism is, but I also want to hear what your better solution to the problem happens to be, because I am looking for solutions, right? I mean, I am in many cases still a student of life, even though I am no longer a young sprung chicken anymore. So let's get into Q&A in a second. We'll run the ad reel. Actually, where's the poll at? Let me just have a quick look at here. 87% say no. Did Brand do what they're accusing of? Most of you are saying no. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll let you guys chop that up in the comments. Okay, let's throw the ad insert. I'll be back in a minute and a half. We'll do the Q&A segment. This episode is brought to you by the Unplugged Alpha Supplements and Grondike Soap Company. Brothers, if you're like me and you take what you put in your body seriously, you'll want to use the Unplugged Alpha Supplements. An obsession with absorption is what sets this line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality domestic ingredients. And unlike cheaper supplements from China in plastic bottles, mine ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and won't seep endocrine disrupting plastics into your supplements. Nothing is a hard tablet. Everything is in an easily digestible, bioavailable capsule. You can filter all products by various categories, including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, immune health, sleep support, and performance. Visit theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option to get 10% off your supplement orders, or use coupon code ALPHA10 for 10% off a one-time order to try it out. Then, I use Tactical Soap and God of War beard oil every day. Tactical Soap is a handmade product made in the United States from ingredients you can actually pronounce, not conventional endocrine-lowering toiletry chemicals. Both the soap and the beard oils are infused with bioidentical pheromones that are designed by a clinical psychologist and pheromone expert to maximize attractiveness to the opposite sex. Go visit coopersoap.com and get 10% off your order today. Guys, check out my website at richcooper.ca for more information on booking me for coaching, my community, my courses, and a whole bunch more. You can also find all the useful links pinned below in the top YouTube comment of all my videos. Now let's get on with the show. All right, let's dive into the Q&A segment. We got a bunch of people here waiting to call in, so let's get going. Let's see what Michael has. Oh, yeah, Michael here was first. There we go. Michael, how you doing, buddy? You're muted, by the way. There you go.
Hey, Rich. Yeah, I have a quick question. It's not regarding the metoo movement,
Okay.
but it's something else.
Go ahead.
I have been in few LTRs, and as soon as the marriage talk comes in, usually the relationship ends in few weeks or months.
Okay.
So how do you navigate that? How do you keep the relationship going on after you have the kind of the marriage talk?
Okay, so you're not interested in the marriage part.
No, absolutely no.
So it's an absolute no. How old are you?
35.
And how old are the women that you're typically dating?
In their early 30s.
Early 30s. And at what point in the timeline does the I'd like to get married at some point conversation come up?
It usually comes up after a year, 2.
Okay. And how do you usually respond to that? Like, how do you address it?
I usually address like I'm not interested in having the government involved in our lives. I want to continue with it relationship, but I don't want government to participate in our bedroom.
And how does she typically respond to that?
They're kind of upset in a sense that I guess that's woman's dream to get married, and just saying no to it kind of crushes her dream. So
okay. So I mean, there's a couple of different approaches that you can use to this, right? You're going to get women that are just hell-bent on getting married, right? They just want to find a guy and get married. They want the party, they want the the invitations, the reception, the honeymoon, the videos, the photographers, all that stuff makes them feel special. I get it. It's a big party, okay? Women are more often than not pretty much hell-bent on it. They don't understand it from the guy's perspective. When guys start to unplug and they see that it's not such a good deal and there's too much risk exposure and it's difficult to manage and then living together and all that sort of stuff, that's when they're starting to like sort of push back in it. So you're open to having a long-term relationship. You just don't want to get married or live in the way that the state looks as a marriage. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's correct. And it's kind of funny things like if you Google any articles, like if you've been living with a guy for X amount of years, and he hasn't proposed, it's like, leave him. There isn't a single article or anything that suggests like, hey, stay with this guy or anything like that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have family, friends, and you have everybody's like, oh, he hasn't proposed. You've been
Yeah.
together for 3 years. Oh, it's time to leave. He's not the one. And
Yeah.
it's very,
Yeah, I'm trying to relate to it a little bit more because because of what I do, and I'm very open with the fact that I'm not interested in marriage. I'm never going to get married again. I don't have a strong interest in wanting to live with a woman anytime in the immediate future. I actually did a video in my car the other day talking about why it's not ideal to live with a woman and why it's to your advantage to try to avoid that. So that'll be on the Entrepreneurs and Cars channel soon. But I think that if you're reasonably honest with her, right, and if you're dealing with women that have strong desire for you, so from the get-go, there's a few things that you can do. You should be dating women that aren't overtly stating immediately that their goal is marriage, because one of the things you're doing, you're wasting both of your time. I mean, if you're just looking for a long-term relationship with a girl that's sort of keeping your frame, that's going to be a compliment to your life, you're going to keep dealing with women. I mean, if they're overtly saying, like on dating apps, if they're stating in the apps, my name's Becky, I'm 34 years old, I have a great job in corporate America, I don't have any kids yet, I'd like to have a family. So if you're not interested in family or marriage and swipe left, then look, I mean, don't waste your time or waste her time, right? Like, if you want to date her or if you want to meet her or something like that and it comes up, she's going to be pretty strongly opinionated about the idea of getting married and having kids. And I don't think that you should try to change that opinion of it. But what you should do, in my opinion, is date women that aren't interested in marriage or aren't overtly stating it, at least when you meet them, right? So it's not going to be immediately crammed down your throat, right? And the other thing that you have to understand about women is that their sexual strategy will adopt your sexual strategy. So what I mean by that is, if she's hell bent on getting married and you're not, if she likes you enough, she will stay with you even though you're not going to marry her. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
yes, but I kind of disagree on this one.
Okay, explain.
Since it's like, even if you're the best option for her,
Yeah.
her idea of marriage
Okay.
and kind of you saying no to that, it's pretty much crushing her dreams and everything. So it doesn't matter
Yeah.
how successful, how best option is, since women are emotional and they run by the emotions, they just think for the exit plan.
Yeah, but look, man, I mean, I can say this, for myself and for a lot of the guys that I work with on a close basis. Women will abandon their hopes, wants, dreams, and desires if you are a high enough value guy. I'm not going to say they're going to do it all the time. 100% of the time, they're not going to do it. There's just going to be something to be hell bent on. Shit or get off the pot. If you're not going to marry me, then I'm going to move on. If that's the case, she's done you a favor, dude. If that's all she wanted from you was just to get a ring, live with you, sign a marriage contract, and have a couple kids that, let's be honest, 50% of the time, you're never going to see them after 7 to 8 years after you get divorced, because she's going to have custody and all your money's going to flow to her. So what's the freaking point, right? She's done you a favor if she's that hell-bent. Because women like that are that hell-bent on marriage, they don't want you. They want a husband. And there's a big difference between that. So they're doing you a favor if they're that hell-bent on it. Fine, go. Good luck. Most of those women, and when I say most, at least 51% of them, most of those women at some point in the future, if you're a high enough value guy, if you're captivating, if you're a gentleman, if you make good money, if you do everything right in the bedroom for her, she'll come knocking on your door later on in the future, even when she's married to the next guy. I'm telling you, dude, I've had women that I dated in my 20s that have messaged me decade and a half later. Oh, I'm really sorry I did this to you. You were the best I ever had. I love you so much. Like, it's like, bitch, you're married. Like, I can see you on Facebook. You're married with kids. Like, what the hell's wrong with you, right? Like, when you start to understand these behaviors and you surrender certain things, like, okay, well, certain women just won't stay with me. Okay, fine. You've done me a favor. Go find some schlep. That's okay. Fine. No problem. I'll look past your 50 notch count. I'll look past the fact that you're bringing kids from two different guys, to the table. I'll look past your debt. I'll look past your mental disorders and the pills you have to pop. I'll look past all this shit and put a ring on your finger, because that's a good idea, right? The vast majority of women today are not even marriage material. They're barely even LTR type of material, right? So it's like, if they go, let them go. bless and release, let them go. But if you're dating a bunch of women simultaneously in a non-monogamous fashion, the cream rises to the top. Hey, Michael, where do we stand? I dig your vibe. I don't want to share you. I want to claim you. You know, I'm not seeing anybody else. Other guys are invisible to me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. And, you know, you can remind her at that point, I'm happy to date and keep saying you. And I feel the same way, blah, blah, blah. Like you have the talk sort of thing. But just understand, I'm never going to get married, or I'm never going to live in the way that the state views as a marriage. Okay. I'm not saying that I won't see you for a long time. I'm not going to say that maybe we might live together at some point. Right. But I'm not going to ever do this thing. Right. And if she wants to stick around, then that's her choice. But she can't bother you about it in the future. You know, you made your position very, very clear. It's like if you go to the dealership and you buy a freaking Lamborghini, you can't complain to the dealer afterwards that you're not getting 40 miles to the gallon like your Prius does. Right. Like you've made it clear what your position is. So I think you have to manage it a little bit better. I think you have to let certain women go and just surrender to it, as beautiful or as whatever boxes they might tick off for you. That's why you got to put yourself first, man. This is why the whole mental point of origin and doing your own thing matters more than anything else, because it puts you in a position where you can be spoiled for more choice with a higher caliber of women. And the ones that go, you're fine, because you can replace them very, very easily. I don't know. Does that make sense to you, man?
It does, yes.
It's just a thing. Like you can't really fix it. Like there's no, hey, you know, memorize these lines or let me hypnotize her with some woo-woo bullshit or something like this. It's like none of that stuff actually exists. It's just, you know, it's one of those things that happens in love and war. And some women will just, because they don't get their way, they're just going to go. Well, I want to get married. Okay, well, if that's what you want to do, then I'll miss you.
True, I agree. To some women, the piece of paper is more important than actually being with that person. Absolutely, yes.
And honestly, to me, that's bullshit. Because if all she cares about is a piece of paper, the ring, and the party, and all that sort of stuff, because I mean, there's people that get married and don't even have kids, right? Like they just want to get, or she wants to get married. That's all that they care about, is the safety component of it, right? They just care about the fact that now that she's married, the law has her ass protected. She can get half of your shit.
Oh, absolutely. My friend actually went to divorce, and
I don't like that. I mean, if a woman is truly virtuous and in love with you and thinks that you're the best that she can get, she'll look past the whole I want to get married thing, right? You know, if she's good, solid character and you're not about it because you don't want to complicate your life unnecessarily, she will stay, right?
Agree.
Cool. Do you have any other follow-up questions, or is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, man. Take care, brother. Bye-bye. All right, let's see what Chad's got for us here. Actually, let me get the super chat here before we go to Chad. 21 says, Rich, in light of the recent vid on the 992, so I just did a video on the Entrepreneurs of Cars channel with the new Turbo S. When purchasing a new Lux or supercar these days, cash, finance, or lease, considering one can afford cash. It really depends on the market conditions. When I bought my S5, I think it was 2019, the interest rates were 0.5%. I was at the dealership when I was talking about buying the car in my R8. Girl goes, I see you have the R8 over there. We have a loyalty program. We'll knock the interest rate down to half what it's marked at. So it was like just over like 1.2% or something. It was nothing, right? So if the interest rate's nothing and I can take the money, invest it somewhere else, borrow, right? In some cases, like certain vehicles, leasing makes more sense. In some cases, in certain environments, buying makes more sense. Like if you go to finance a vehicle or lease a vehicle today and the interest rates are as high as they are, it makes more sense just to buy it with cash, assuming that you have cash. So it really depends on the market conditions. All right, let me get to Chad here. And guys, I'm happy to talk about anything, man. Bring car questions, call in, whatever you want, guys. Chad.
Hey, Rich, how's it going?
I emailed you earlier today. Okay, was that?
Yeah,
so
that was
if
me.
you can just recap the email then. So fill me in. So what was the question?
So pretty much I'm just saying I have all these hobbies. I skateboard, I hunt, I mountain bike. I try to do boxing every now and then. And I just trying to manage my time, you know, so that I can do all this stuff. Do you have any tips for managing time or any, you know?
Look, man, I read it briefly. You're an electrician. How old are you again?
Yep. I'm 27.
And your question was about training, like putting on weight. You said you wanted to look like
Thor. Yeah, dude. I'm I'm like 140.
And you're
Soaking
5.
wet.
How much?
8.5.
Yeah. Okay. So you can. I mean, you can put on 25 pounds of
I
muscle
mean,
easily.
I'm skinny, but I'm not scrawny. I have something.
All right.
There's something there. Not
There's
much.
something there.
Something.
All right. Yeah.
So
I can wave a magic wand to solve your problem. What's the problem? Just clarify for my viewers right now.
Time management. I know I said a lot of things in the email, but that was like the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, the email said a lot of, I like to skateboard and I like to hunt and I like to do all kinds of things here. And it's like, okay, well, you've got a problem with putting on some weight, and that seems to be a priority to you. And I've always said this, and I'll say it again. You're either going to find a way to make it happen, or you're going to find an excuse. And when I'm reading the email, it sounds like you're trying to find an excuse. It's like, well, I can't do it because I work. There's 24 hours in a day. I got to work 8 of them. Then I got to sleep 7 of them. Then I got to do my skateboarding. Then I got to do this and I got to do that. And I'm not giving up the hunting thing. And it's like, how important is it to you? Like, dude, you're younger than I am. And I'm assuming you don't have a wife and kids.
I have a wife.
You have a wife. Oh, that's right. I remember the wife part. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to leave that off the table?
We can leave it off the table.
Okay,
for now. I'll call again some other time.
Got it. Yeah, you're going to want to turn off the camera for that part.
Yeah, so, she's in the other room.
Got it. So as far as like the putting on weight part, the component, it's like you don't have any kids to contend with, but you do have a marriage to manage as well too. So that's going to take up a little bit of time. Something's got to give, man. There's 24 hours in a day. I saw this guy once. He did I think it was Casey Neistat actually on one of his videos, and he had like the camera facing down sort of thing on a table, piece of paper, and he had 24 little blocks, and each block represented an hour. And it's like, okay, well, I've got the 7 hours here that I need to sleep. I have the 8 hours here that I need to work, and that leaves me with so many other blocks that I can use in this time. And it's like, you just have to figure out what your priorities are in life. Like, is skateboarding more important than putting on muscle? Then keep skateboarding. If muscle for you and building a V taper and broad shoulders and a narrow waist is more important, then something's got to give. Like, you only have certain blocks. So figure out which ones get removed and which one, like you put the hour of training in 3 to 4 times a week sort of thing. It's not that difficult to do, right? I mean, you can honestly, like, one of the most underrated exercises for physical training and for strength and masculinity is push-ups. People
I'll do 25 I'll do 25 push-ups every day on my break when I take my break. But aside from that, I really don't get much time.
I can show you pictures of my chest when I was doing 200 push-ups 2 to 3 times per week. I wouldn't do them 200 straight. I would do like 4
break
sets of 25, take a break, 4 sets of 25, take a break, 4 sets, sort of thing. But you can build a thick, strong, massive chest with just essentially doing loads of push-ups and flat on the floor with feet elevated up on a vertical surface to, like hit the different, and you can do this when you're at site or between breaks at site or when you go in your vehicle or something like that. Like, I could
do push-ups anywhere.
Honestly, dude, like, you don't need any equipment, for a lot of this stuff. So it's like, I mean, it sounds to me, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but it just sounds to me like you're just trying to make excuses as to why you don't want to do it. It's like, because I have all these other priorities and how do I manage my time? And it's like, you already have the answer. There's 24 hours in a day. Something gets pulled out and you insert 3 to 4 times a week, an hour of physical training.
Okay.
I mean, there's no secret sauce to it, really.
Yep. Right. Thanks, Rich. I also wanted to say I like your flag in the background.
My what?
Flag of my own.
Oh, okay.
Your flag?
Yeah.
I have a flag of my own.
Good stuff, man.
Don't tread on me.
Got it.
Anyway, you have a good one. Thanks for the advice.
Take care, man.
I'll keep...
See you. All right. Let's give it to Kizza, the Supreme Emperor. What's up, man?
Welcome, Rich. How's it going? Oh, sorry.
Welcome back. It's been a while since we've talked. I know you're a friend of Moth's, so what do you got for me today?
Basically, Rich, my question to you is slightly off topic. Do you regret buying the 992 Turbo S based on the video you?
No, I don't.
Okay, because you did seem a little disappointed.
I was disappointed for for the things that I talked about. It's like the interior is kind of boring. There's no carbon fiber. Like, dude, if you were to order that car new in Canada, it's gonna rack up to about $400,000 by the time you pay all the taxes. For Porsche to sell a car for 400 G's that doesn't have any visible carbon fiber anywhere, to me is unacceptable. But at the end of the day, it is the best rally car I think that you can use for long distance driving, for road trip.
Because the big problem is, especially if you're in the States or Canada, you get screwed over with import taxes.
Yeah, there's a new luxury tax in Canada for anything over $100,000. So whether it's a car, boat, plane, anything like that, the federal government is bending you over on any new purchases, which is why I bought it used. Like, if it's been previously registered, the car had 4,000 kilometers. If it's been previously registered, then you save the luxury tax.
Yeah, that's fair. Because like, if you brought that in Germany, you'd be paying like half the price. Purely because of the import taxes and stuff.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. Because I do have a few. I do like Porsches, but the thing is, I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of people who drive them, if that makes sense. Not including.
Oh, it's kind of like BMW drivers.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, when it comes to BMW, I like the old BMWs between 88 to 2003, with a few exceptions. I like that era of BMW. Everything else is just, it's either extremely ugly, built very poorly. What's
the reputation that Porsche drivers have? I'm not familiar with it because I'm not a brand.
This is perhaps a stereotype, but there is a sort of arrogance that the certain Porsche drivers have, that they like to sniff their own farts, to use a comedic term. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like it makes me laugh when the people are like, "Oh, I have a Porsche," and I'm just like, "Mate, most of you have Boxsters, and the only reason you have the Boxster is because you couldn't afford a 911 originally, and then the Cayman came along and just like, listen, bro, I know you got the Cayman because you couldn't afford a 911.
Yeah,
come on now, don't give me that BS."
It really is a very impressive car once you grab it by the scruff of the neck and throw it around. It really is. It's beyond my expectations. Like when my friend got the 992 Turbo S and I still had the 720 when we were doing these road trips, I'm like, how is this guy still on the road? Like, how is he keeping up with me in the twisties? And I mean, I had to get rid of the car, so I took a look at a bunch of options, and that 992 that I got in the chalk color, which I really liked, it had a nice set of wheels and a Caprizo exhaust on it. I just liked it, so I just got it. I figured, and dude, I didn't even drive the car. Like, I didn't even drive it before I bought it. I just drove my friends for like 5 minutes, and I bought it because I saw what he was doing in it, and he's also had a 720. And we had lots of conversations. I'm like, how does it live up, man? You know, do you like it? Is it, you know, as far as comfort, and how's the grip? And he's like, every time I asked him something, he was just like, the car is amazing. The grip is phenomenal. It just does everything so well. I'm like, fine, sold. I'll get one.
Yeah. Because I think the issue is that people don't seem to understand about Porsche is that when you get to the very expensive models like your Turbo S, a lot of people are like, oh, you spend all this money, but the interior is barely any different to a standard Carrera too. And I'm just like, well, that's what happens when you have a mass manufactured car. It's like
they must make a lot of money off those cars. I don't know what the profit margins on.
Generally, sorry to interrupt. Generally, the rule is it has to be at least 25% or higher profit margin. Because I work in the automotive manufacturing for a German company, won't say which one.
Right.
But generally, the rule is it has to make over 25% net profit.
That makes sense.
And also, if Porsche have a bit low on money, they're connected to the VW group, who've got tons of billions in the bank, so they don't have to worry too much.
Yeah.
But also, I do think a lot of people understand when it comes to these big manufacturers who have top spec models, whether it be in BMW M5 or a so-called AMG Mercedes and that. If you look at the interiors, there's almost no difference between a base model versus the AMG model.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't seem to understand is a lot of the money you're paying for is based on the drivetrain and the underpinnings of the car, not what's inside the car in terms of the interior.
The interior is just a parts bin piece, really. You know, if I'm being honest, it's just the car, the way they've engineered it and put it together. It's very impressive. It's not as exciting to look at as a McLaren. It's not as exciting to sit in as a McLaren. Like when you get in a McLaren, you pull the door down, it closes, it latches. The screen, it whirs up in front of you. You've got a nice clear display. You know, when you touch the turn signals, it feels premium. There's a little hole cut in it to save a gram or two or something like that, right? Like you start to notice all of these little things. Whereas when you get in a Porsche, it's like, just looks like everything out of the VW box, right? Like the turn signals are literally the same ones that I had in my S5, which I just traded in for like $35,000. Like the same turn signals.
Yeah,
right?
That's the issue.
This is what you're getting. It's just the entire package put together. It just makes it a good car. They're supposed to be more reliable, although I haven't seen it being more reliable than my McLaren. But honestly, like, I love the car. I'm just, I wish it just like had a
was
bit
a bit more
more
special.
Yeah,
Was a bit more special. Yeah, that's the issue. It's like,
because they all look the same.
Yeah, that's the only
But I mean, I
issue.
wanted something that looked boring too, you know, for road trips. Like, I want to blend in.
that is the problem, because like, if you want something that makes you feel a bit more special, well, guess what? That tends to be much more rare and exclusive, and also
Well, that's
more
why I
expensive.
got the Spider RS coming, so that's a special car.
Right, exactly, yeah. Whereas, like, for me, if I had silly money, if I wanted to turn up at one of your rallies, I'll turn up in a Gordon Murray GMA T50.
I love that car. I
Yeah,
contacted them, like, do you guys have a distributor here? Can I buy one? It's like nothing, crickets. They wouldn't even get back to me.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, when they announced the car, I think they already sold out all their models.
Probably,
And
yeah.
they've got 2 other models as well, the T50 SNE, T33, if memory serves.
Yeah,
Which is
if
the
you guys
budget one.
watching right now want to, I mean, if you're even remotely interested in automobiles, do yourself a favor and do a YouTube search for Gordon Murray T50 Silverstone and turn it up real loud, and you'll hear one of the most phenomenal engines you'll ever hear. It's like a naturally aspirated, I don't know, what does it rev up to? Like 10,000 RPM,
12,000 RPM with a 4th liter V12 built by Cosworth.
Sick.
Yeah. And Cosworth, if you're car guys, you know full well what Cosworth means in the automotive world.
Yeah.
60 years of history of building race engines or performance engines for automobiles. Yeah. Like, if I turned up in one of those, everyone's going to think, what the hell is that? Because I remember when they first showed us the pictures, I'm like, the front end.
It's not the prettiest thing, though, is it?
The front end, I'll be honest, the front end reminded me of like a knockoff Porsche 996 GT1, if you remember that race car back in the day.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that. And the rear end, I'll be honest, it looked like a futuristic.
The fan looks weird, but it does something.
The fan is something to get used to. Like, the rear end, if you look at it directly from the back, what I think of is like a futuristic Nissan GTR crossed with like a, I guess, like a futuristic Zonda in that sense. And there are elements of it which does make me think Zonda, especially with the boots integrated to the rear arches. But the 3-seater layout is just unique. You're not going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah, and also throwback to the McLaren F1. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm just gonna put it up on the screen so there's nobody else waiting to call in right now. So I'm gonna talk cars for a little bit with my friend Kizza here.
No worries. Hopefully nobody minds in the chat. Nobody minds in the chat.
So this is the Gordon Murray T50 right here. I don't think they're going to sell this in North America. How many of these are they making?
I believe they're making about 250 to 300. But the thing is, I think it's basically a case of anyone can buy it, because I do know with, like, for instance, you know the McLaren Speedtail?
Yeah.
That car wasn't technically built for meet US North American regulations, but around 1/3 of them was sold there. But they got around it because of the show car rule, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And those who don't know, it's a rule that basically says that allows cars that are not built for North American standards to be sold there, providing you do less than 2,000 miles a year.
Yeah. Here's a big fan in the back of the car over here. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that is a working fan to create negative lift, to use the correct technical term. But yes,
it creates downforce.
Yeah. Or to use the technical term, negative lift.
Negative lift is the engineer's term. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's easier to say downforce. But even then, it's like, if you actually look at the dimensions, it's about the same size as a Porsche Boxster, but you can get 3 people in it. You have 2 boots. You have a 650 horsepower V12. The car weighs about a ton.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of pure performance scales and compactness, it smashes practically everything off the scale.
What's your dream car under $1 million? If you had $1 million to spend on a car, what would you get?
Fuck. Excuse my language.
It's all right.
Are we talking brand new when it came out, or is this taking into account secondhand?
Used, secondhand, new, whatever you want.
Oh, that's tricky. That's very tricky, because I got a big list. Actually, this was under $1 million at the time, but I would love I believe it was called a Zonda. No, wait. Yeah, it would either be a Zonda, one of the Zonda F one-offs, or at the time it would have been a Koenigsegg CCXR, which I believe was under $1 million. At the time when they were sold new. Now, trying to get them secondhand cheese, you're talking at least $5 million. At least $5 million. I imagine if you tried finding them secondhand. Although I will say that new Koenigsegg.
I'm just looking at prices right now, and there's nothing under $1 million that I would. Okay, so I'd have to go something more mainstream.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at how much.
If it was over $1 million, I think it would have to be a Pagani Utopia with a manual.
Oh, the newest one, yeah. That newest one does look good. Although my personal favorite,
852 horsepower. This thing.
Yeah, I think my personal favorite Zonda of them all. Well, there's actually two. It's either the 750 RS or the Revolution R. Yeah, because that looks like basically a remodeled Huayra.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. It looks like a chick. You know, it looks like a supermodel. That is a supermodel of cars.
Yeah, yeah. Right. I mean, I still have a soft spot for the original Zonda because of how clean it is.
And if you've never seen a Pagani in person, even if you're not a car person, go to a car show or to a Pagani dealership if you're, you know, like in a large city, because they should have one. They're works of art. When you look at there's buckles and latches that you use to latch down, you know, the boot and the bonnet and the like certain elements of the interior, and you know the shifter, like you can see the entire like mechanism and movement of everything. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. So it's not just a car. Yeah. It's a car. It's a work of art. And then the story behind it, it's like, you know, Ferrari spawned off Lamborghini and Lamborghini spawned off Pagani, you know, all almost in some degree spites, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, I know you're versed on the Lamborghini story, but what's funny is the founder of Pagani, Horacio Pagani, actually worked for Lamborghini for quite a few years before he moved on to a thing.
You know why he moved on? Because he wanted to introduce carbon fiber, and Lamborghini was like, yeah we don't think so.
Yeah, because the problem was Lamborghini was strapped for cash, and so they couldn't build a facility to produce carbon fiber and, you know, Kevlar pieces because they were strapped for cash at the time. So
it was around the time of the Diablo, before VW bought him.
Yeah, I believe it was either the late 80s or early 90s, because I know there is, because I found this out with a video about Horacio Pagani. Lamborghini did build a carbon fiber and Kevlar Countach at the time.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, they built a special, like, it was like a prototype, like a full carbon and Kevlar Countach.
Yeah.
And it saved, like, I think it was at least 400 to 500 pounds in weight. But it's one of those models that is extremely not heard of. It's like, for instance, there's been rumors about a twin turbo Countach, but no one has ever, quote unquote, seen a picture of it. Yeah.
So I've got some people that are ready to hop in and ask some questions. So I'm going to say this, you know, before we wrap up. You know, I was thinking, what would I get under $1 million new today? And it would probably, I don't even know if you can order them still new, but let's just say that you can. I'd probably say a 765 LT with a roof scoop, full MSO exposed carbon fiber with a clear coat on it. It's like an MSO big fat upgrade that would take you right up to like nudging like 900, 950 or so. But it's sick. I don't know if you ever seen one in person, but an exposed carbon McLaren looks sick.
Yeah, I have seen a 765.
That's not a rally car. That's not a car that you take on long drives and beat the shit out of.
No, that's one you take lots of pictures on Instagram. But actually, before I go, Rich, forgive me for asking this. Is there any updates on that car podcasting you spoke about a few weeks ago?
Yeah, we were talking about it on our road trip. Sergey was with me, and we both have really busy schedules. We may make it happen. We may not make it happen. It really depends.
That's fair enough. I would say as well. Speaking of cars,
did you ever watch that interview with him? Did you get into it?
I did watch, and I did enjoy a lot of it, because I was going to cheekily ask, could I be as a potential guest host, like guest star on there occasionally, if obviously time management's okay. I can understand if you say no, because I'm basically a nobody.
Yeah, well, we would do it in studio, because we're talking about a studio setup. He's got this great club here in Toronto called the Flat Six Club, and he's basically outfitted the entire place with restoration hardware stuff. It's huge. It's fucking stunning. Like, if you go to a couple of my stories, you'll see pictures and videos of it. But
although, to answer your question, if I had more than $1 million right now, it'd have to be the new Koenigsegg Gemera with the Jesko V8. Ever since I saw that, I was just like, never in my life have I realized I needed something so much and not known it. I mean, who doesn't want a 2,300 horsepower, 4-seater super coupe?
I'll tell you who doesn't want it. Nerds. People that don't understand the beauty and the passion of the automobile. And I think that it's almost a dying species. I don't know what it is, man, but when I was younger, a lot more people seemed interested in the automobile and supercars and doing the work to buy the cool cars. Today, there's like kids that are 18 that don't even have their driver's license. They can't be fucked to go and get it just because they're not interested in cars. It's like, I think it's part of the low T pandemic that we're dealing with, because I think guys when they're high T, they like dangerous shit, and fast cars can be dangerous. But when they placate society, this is where it takes you. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I would add to that. Sorry to interrupt. I think byproducts that just the changing regulations when they're making cars so expensive and so domestic, and also it's all just the regulation regarding congestion charges, emission rules, and stuff they're putting all over the big cities. And also, you have things like Uber, where you have super cheap taxi services. It's like a lot of people are like, well, why do I need it?
There's also very modern inconveniences that exist too. There's new laws that make it very difficult to enjoy the vehicle. Everybody has a cell phone. Like, one of the things that we're constantly dealing with is Karen's calling us in when we're doing these road trips. And without giving away anything, we have countermeasures and we have ways of dealing with it. And when we do things, we do them very safely and in an orderly fashion with radios and stuff. But we live in an environment today where it's like having fun or looking like you're having fun is just deemed inappropriate and a menace. It seems like what they're doing. So, what, man, as far as I'm concerned, I'm living in the best generation ever, because this is the last of the internal combustion engine, or it seems that way anyway. So I'm going to enjoy it, and that'll be my time with it.
Yeah. I mean, I really.
What do you drive, Kizza?
Technically, I'm using a Mazda 6, the Mark 1 Mazda 6 at the moment. Nothing special, because I did have an IS 200. Then I got my license again. Now I'm running around in Mazda 6. It's just a simple.
Where do you live in
easy,
the UK?
Yeah, I live in England. I won't specify where, but I'm in the southeast area. I'm basically in the middle of Buttersport Valley. And to be honest, like a lot of the big car meetups, they sort of died down a lot. I think, especially after COVID, nobody really likes to hook up and do car meets anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I would say this to Rich or anyone who's a big car guy, if you're ever planning on coming to England, do turn up to the NEC Arena when they do the Autosport show in January. Because they got everything in there, top-end supercars, race cars from various eras. They even have a live show if you have live tickets. And if you have that, you can meet various racing drivers over the years. Like I've met Nigel Mansell, Damon Hill, Alan McNish, Tom Christensen, a lot of top-end drivers from various disciplines. And I will say this, Alan McNish, despite being a wee little Scotsman, he is great fun to chat with. He's great fun to chat with.
Fun. All right, man. Anyway, I got to run. I got to get some of these other guys, my man. But it's fun talking cars. Take care.
No worries. Take care. Take care.
Bye. All right. Guys, the link to call in is pinned at the top. Let's give it to Victor Time Wolf. Vic, what's going on, man?
Hey, Rich. Not much. I just wanted to call like 2 or 3 shows before, but it was with a girl traveling in a truck. It was fun. She loved it.
Sure.
So, I want to offer a perspective on a first date, not having a coffee, but a dinner.
Okay.
For me, is a go-to for a dinner, like not expensive, but dinner nonetheless, just simply because to see if a girl is chewing with her mouth open. If she does it, like you pay and walk away.
Oh, yeah. If she's got bad manners, if she's a slob, or if she doesn't chew with her mouth closed, or if she talks with food in her mouth, it's not next date material for sure. You froze up, buddy.
That's because I'm saying amount of food consumption you will have together while you're dating will be a lot. So.
Yeah, like, look, man, at the end of the day, if she doesn't make you look good, some people may not care. Like, there's some people that have very, very low standards, and it's like, she touches my pee-pee and I like her, and I don't care what she does, what her weight is, or what her personality is like, or how she eats food. It doesn't matter. Fine, I get it. But here's the thing. When it comes to dealing with women or getting into a long-term relationship and introducing them to people in your life, I don't want to take a chick to a dinner where I have important people around me, or an event, and she chews with her mouth open, or she chews with food in her mouth, or she's got visible tattoos on her body and looks trashy. I don't care how hot she is or what she wears or how good she looks in her dress. She's got visible tattoos. Like, forget it. Like, it's never happening, right? Like red flag. So it's incumbent upon you guys. And again, here, let me do the red flag banner because I don't put it up enough to remind you guys to get the damn red flag chapter. And there's actually 21 now. I've updated it and I've added another one. The second edition of the first book is getting updated and going to be published very, very soon. So if you're opted into the list, I have to send you a brand new one, but yeah, get it. Vic, anything else you got for me before I got to go? I got somebody else waiting to hop on. I lost you. Okay. Remove you. No problem. Again, guys, the link to call in and ask any question is pinned up above. It just says StreamYard. Click it. Come on in. We got a few more minutes before we got to wrap up the show and then do Ladies Night. Moff has awesome panel lined up for 8:45. We had a chat earlier this afternoon and making some tweaks to the show. It's interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So as far as the follow-up to the book, which I should probably address as well too, because I've been working with Steve from accounting. You guys know Steve from accounting. He's the editor for my first book. He's helped me rejuvenate it and update it. And there's a second book that'll be coming out a few months after that. There's a few things in the first book that needed to be modernized. I could probably put it that way, and sanitized and evergreened, so that it would be relevant in 5. Like I wanted to have something that's relevant in 50 years, down the road. So there's that component. There's some other things that needed to be added to the edition. So I think that in total, how many pages is it? The original one is 220 or something like that, or 207. 207 is the last page on the glossary. 208, I think, is a total. Yeah, 208. It's gone up to like 240 pages. So there's more stuff added. And it's not just in one chapter or in any one area. It's just throughout the entire book. So I hope you guys enjoy that. You pick it up when it comes out. I have to re-record the audio version of it, of course. And yeah, there's a lot of work to get wrapped up, done on that one too. All right, let's see what's going on here in the chat. Birmingham, London, cheers. Active, beautiful. All right, let's go over here to the call-ins. Hey, we got Walburger. Walburger.
Hey, Rich, how you doing, man?
Walburger, what's up, buddy?
Hey, just want to comment on the Russel Brand situation. Have you heard?
What do you think? Do you think he did it or not?
Absolutely not. Absolutely,
it's an absolutely not for you.
Absolutely not. I've looked into it. The same situation is happening in regards to the Tates and such. Women are coming forward who have spent time with him, who've been alone with him, said that there's never been a problem. And there's some things where he played a horrible joke on one of the ladies that he dated. And he, on a radio show, he made a fake call in to her grandfather talking about how great it was that he, had sex with his granddaughter. And this was a thing that got him fired.
Yeah, that's on his Wikipedia page. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, she's coming out saying what a gentleman he is. So if she's willing to do that, that's a big deal, right? And here's my question to you. What are your thoughts? What do you think about Kevin Spacey right now?
There's so many of these things that pop up over and over
he's been
again.
Fully exonerated?
Yeah. I know that he lost work, because of it, but there's so many of these things that pop up. It's very difficult to stay on top of all of them. And it seems like for the most part, anybody that's a popular celebrity, politician, athlete, musician, has been for the most part exonerated over time.
Yeah.
And there's no consequences to the women that have accused them in a false fashion or an exaggerated fashion.
Right.
So it's going to continue. The only one that I saw recently that seemed like there might have been some merit to it was the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial.
Yeah.
Like he clearly has a drug or an addiction problem, and he clearly gets violent when he's into that sort of stuff. Although there was no evidence ever produced where he actually touched her. There was just, words spoken.
Right. Well, and so did Russel Brand. Russel Brand's had his problems, right? Which he's fully admitted. And he doesn't want to get, sorry, I'm just walking because I've got a floor cleaner chasing me. and it's going to get loud. So, but the fact of the matter is that how big a news is it? How big a news is it that Kevin Spacey has been exonerated? I don't think
No, we haven't heard about that, have we?
No, you don't know that at all. You got to really search that out. So people talk about due process coming through and exonerating people, maybe in court, but not in the court of public opinion. And I think in this particular, instance, I think they're trying to make an example saying that it doesn't matter. I don't think it's even going to go to court. I don't think it's going to be reported to police. I think that they're just going to see how effective this is in the court of public opinion and let it lie where it is, because no police have been communicated in this regard up to this point. So I think this is a grand experiment, another one of those little petri dish scenarios, seeing what they can do to somebody. And there isn't much that are bigger than Russel Brand, who's stirring the pot in regards to the problems of the world.
He's stirring a very big pot with his podcasts and his shows and his clips and how and I don't think he's wrong, to be honest with you. I don't think he's wrong. So
absolutely not.
So they can't, I mean, it's either discredit him, imprison him, or kill him. Right. So that's usually what they start with is, discredit. And the angle is generally, or what seems to be, nefarious in the lines of Me Too. So what are you going to do, right?
Yeah. So the story is too familiar. It's, again, and with Kevin Spacey, it was 4 dudes. Obviously, it was a little different.
Yeah.
This is 4 women with Russell.
Hang on, it was 4 guys that accused him of sexual misconduct?
That's right.
Is he gay or is he bi?
I think he's bi. I think that's what the story is. But all of the accusers were men.
He's such a good actor, though. Like,
he's one of the greatest actors. Kaiser Soze.
Do yourself a favor. Go watch some Kevin Spacey movies on Netflix or Prime, whatever. Just search by actor.
Unusual Suspects, man. Yeah. One of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah.
Or The Usual Suspects, I think, right?
The Usuals, yeah. All right, Walburger, got to run. I got to take this last one before I go. See you later, man.
Take care, bro.
Peace. All right, I'm going to do one more, and then we'll wrap her up. Got to get ready for the ladies' night. Hey, what's up, Jrizzo?
Hey, what's up, Rich?
How you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I just pulled an earplug out of my ear, so you're in one of my ears.
Oh, no.
What can I do for you tonight, my man?
No, I was just going to make a comment on the whole thing about the kids these days with their driver's licenses. I'm dealing with that currently.
Okay.
With one of my daughters. They're scared. They're scared
of getting their driver's license?
Yeah. And I was talking about it with a older gentleman who's a sales rep who drives all around with our funeral homes that we support. And we kind of came to the conclusion that when it comes to kids these days and not really wanting to get their licenses, it's all got to do with social media. They can go and virtually talk to all their friends, and they don't have to go and drive to meet like we did back in the day. We used to go out.
What I'm seeing, though, is I'm seeing a complete disinterest from young men in getting a driver's license. I mean, the ones that don't have it, it's just completely disinterested. Like, oh, I'll just Uber, or my dad will drive me, or my mom will drive me, or something like that. But they're never men. They're never like men sort of guys. They're like these weak versions of pathetic kind of dudes. You know what I mean? I don't talk to 18-year-old girls, so I really don't know any young women that, would qualify to have a driver's license, but haven't gotten it. But being scared of what? Like other cars getting in an accident?
Yeah. My daughter.
That's so weird, man.
And she's terrified of driving. And I don't know why.
She probably shouldn't drive then if she's that terrified of driving.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a man. I'm taking her out every time that she comes over here, because we're divorced.
Yeah.
I will take her out. Hey, we're going to do this. I'm being the father. Hey, we're going to go. We're going to drive. You're going to do this.
I've already told my daughter from day one she's getting her driver's license at 16, and that's it. I mean, she's ready. Like, I've got old videos on my Entrepreneurs and Cars channel of her helping me do a launch control on an E93 M3, right? Like, ever since
Oh,
she was
wow.
little. So I
Yeah.
think that, you know, because I've always been like, I used to take her to car shows and car meets and cars and coffee. I mean, she's older now, obviously, so she's not interested in that kind of stuff. But when she's like a 4 or 5-year-old, if you start them young, man, it's like, it's just kind of in them. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've always been a car guy, so it's hard for her to avoid it, sort of thing. But yeah, just keep at her. You know, maybe she's got some anxiety issues around it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, when she
sounds
was
like it.
young, when she was young, we took her out in four-wheelers and stuff like that, and I tried to train her on four-wheelers and even a mini bike. And
Did she roll one?
yes,
Yeah, it's going to traumatize anybody. But
Yeah.
I mean, you're in a cage, like you're in a car, right? I mean, you're basically in a freaking box. It's safe.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Dude,
different.
I've seen guys have some serious accidents with cars over the years, and they've all walked away from them. So like cars are incredibly, like with the airbags and the beams and the strut brake, like they're incredibly safe today.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I was like 16, we got into an accident in a 79 Lincoln Continental. The other cars were obliterated.
Yeah.
We walked out with not a scratch.
Yeah, there's like 17 feet between the front bumper and the windshield.
Yeah, huge. Great
Yeah.
car. It still
All right,
drove
man.
down the road.
I got to run. I got to get ready for this next show, but thanks for chiming in on that.
All right. Peace
See
on,
you, buddy.
Rich.
See you, buddy. All right. Let me get this one last super chat here. Mike says, Rich, finish your book. Great stuff. Would you consider a commitment ceremony not a legal wedding? Is that possible without legal implications? That's a very good question, actually. There's an interesting video I did on the Before the Trainwreck podcast series before I ended it, and it turned into the Unplugged Alpha. I was reviewing I'm going to miss some of the details, but to sort of highlight them, there was a Canadian billionaire, or he's part of a very wealthy family. I think they're like 30th wealthiest family in Canada. And there was a big story in the media because his girlfriend ended up getting him for alimony. They never lived together. They never blended their families. He was divorced. He had kids. She was divorced. She had kids. Older guy, older woman. I think he's like in his 50s or 60s, and she was in her 40s or something like that. But because he lived in such a way that the court deemed to be a marriage, even though they never officially married, because he did a lot of things. So he did things that, like, he kept doing things, signaling over and over to the public that he was committed to her, that he intended to marry her, bought her a ring, took her on vacations. One of the things that he also did too was he lived in Toronto, but he had a place up in Muskoka. And if you don't know where that is, it's cottage country in Northern Ontario. Nice area, beautiful houses, Great Lakes. It's where Kevin O'Leary vacations in the summertime from Shark Tank. And then he would go down to Florida a lot of the times as well. Because he was traveling so much and he had her with him, it ended up roughly being like 3.5 to 4 days of the week he was with her. So if they were having dinner, his kids and her kids would come over to his house and they would eat. So there was enough consistency where her lawyer argued that they were basically married, even though they never officially married. So basically like common law, right? So your question is, would you consider a commitment ceremony not a legal wedding? What's the point, right? All you're doing is you're giving the government more fodder and her potentially down the road, should she change her mind. Because again, the woman you marry or the woman that you start dating is never the same woman that you end dating. There's always a wonderful honeymoon phase. Everything's great, blissful, right? And then several years later, things, change, right? So doing a commitment ceremony, do it if you want. Do it if you think it's going to placate her, if that's what you're trying to do, which is what it would seem to be doing. But I personally wouldn't even do that, because that's too close to something that could be interpreted as a marriage. You got to be very careful, man. Like, the fucking laws are just so bad and not in your favor. Again, the case that I'm talking about is in Canada. Like, let me see if I can look up this. It's going to take me too long digging up there's so many podcast episodes, but the case is in Canada. They never officially married, never had a ceremony, and never lived in a house together that they combined their families in. But she still managed to get this guy for something like 60 grand a month in alimony, for being with him for like a few years. It was like 5 or 6 years. It wasn't forever, and it wasn't a short period of time, but it was long enough that she got a lawyer and said, this guy's loaded. I need some shit. And he's now paying her 50 or 60 grand a month. And what is she doing with it? She's running some shitty yoga studio with it, probably burning cash, never making a profit. So my advice is no. Like, don't do anything that resembles something that the state or the government can interpret as a marriage. Simple as that. You ask any divorce lawyer, and their simple rule is just don't live with a chick. That's it. You know, make sure she's got her own place. She has bills that go to her place in her name. You have bills that go to your. If you don't want to complicate your life and you want to remain in love and in a happy long-term relationship, don't live with her, and don't do anything that could be viewed as, you know, being married, like buying her an engagement ring and writing some shit in the sand, you know, rich and whatever, you know, forever sort of thing. Like, you don't do things like that. This is what screwed this guy up. There's lots of photographs, lots of travel, lots of time together. And even though he never had the ceremony, dude he got it. But, you know, for guys, you know, as rich as that, it doesn't really matter. Like, he fights it on principle, right? It's, you know, the smaller guys that get burned. Thanks, Jake. Michael Latner and Lisa Clemens. You can go look it up. It's a very, very well-known case. It happened 3 or 4 years ago. Thanks for digging that up, bud. Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to wrap it up on that note. Got to do a few things before we get on to the ladies with the ladies' night. Stick around for the podcast outro, and we'll see you in like 15, 20 minutes. All right, guys. If you enjoyed that podcast, make sure you visit my website at richcooper.ca to learn more about my courses, my book, The Unplugged Alpha, community, or booking me for private coaching. Also, if you are a Canadian with $15,000 or more of credit card debt and what you are doing right now isn't paying off the balances, then visit totaldebtfreedom.ca and hit get a free quote to see if you qualify to settle your credit card debt for less than you owe today over the next 48 months. Make sure you check out the top pinned comment on YouTube for all the links mentioned during the show. Peace.